our cultural heritage. It also contributed for making our complete historical process system and the progress of social cultural evolution and development and their contribution to the present society and continuity of all the architectural things. Ashoka, as we know it very well, as it is, you can say that one of the great men in India. Apart from that, his contribution for making him a great person, great people, and as a king is again a very, very significant, and contribution in all the field is very prolific. So let us start with all the technicalities, all the pros and cons, which is very much important for civil services point of view. The cave architecture, if you talk about that too, I have already given the background about my previous lecture, that each and every architecture of any time and any period evolve and develop whenever it is patronized by some ruler, some administrator, or the king or princess. So their contribution play a very, very significant role. And this thing developed, this architectural progress normally develops with the ideas of king's thought, prince's thought, mindset and ideas. So the cave architecture, it was a very significant, it was very, very, you can say that, from technical point of view, from architectural point of view, it is significant. And it also shows the skills of the people and person, those who were associated with constructing and building these activities. So Ashoka has been given credit, and he has been credited to develop these cave architecture, rock cut caves and polished surface or polished surfaces. So it is also a kind of monument, but it was the evolutionary process of that time. During the time of Ashoka, Ashoka paid a special attention for developing monument and architecture. The inscription of Ashoka, I have discussed about that too. Then pillars of Ashoka, again the significant part of that too. Cave architecture, specifically in the region of Magad, or in the region of what we can say that, where the establishment of Mauryan Empire was deep seated, or you can say established in a big way. So Ashoka himself donated the caves to the, you can say that, Ajivikas. These were the sects of Buddhism of that time. And the famous cave was known as Sudama cave, or the cave of Sudama. Ashoka has, you can say that, given this, dedicated to this, again you can say that, Buddhist Sudama cave, dedicated to Ajivikas. It is the sects of Buddhism of that period. And Ashoka, from this beginning, Ashoka laid the foundation, Ashoka formulated the base, Ashoka, you can say that, invented the idea of developing a style of building in the form of cave. Later on, this tradition of cave building, this practices of cave building expanded to the different region of India. in the eastern region, in the western region, certain region of the, you can say that, central India. So these practices of making caves, dwelling, these practices of developing cave architecture laid the foundation, gave the idea by Ashoka. And in the latter part, if the lecture, our lecture go on, if the lecture go on that way, and the lecture progress in this way, then you will find that these all the development, these all the activities which were prevailed at that time, it was created by Ashoka. And this architectural activities in the form of cave building. And cave building is one of the typical part of it, because without the use of any bricks, without the use of any stone, the big rocks used to carved out, used to cut down, and it has given to a proper shape. And the proper shape, it is like a hall, it is like a room, it is like a, you can say that, pillared hall. It is like a flat roof. So this idea was created by Ashoka. So Ashoka contributed first time. From your examination point of view, if you think about that, if the question is going to ask on the line of what we can say that cultural heritage and Maurya architecture. So the first time architectural development took place, in the early lecture I have discussed about in the form of a stupa, chaitya kind of things too. But in the latter part, a typical thing evolved and developed. It is what? Cave dwelling, cave architecture. And the pattern of, what we can say, the pattern of patronizing the religion with other cultural activities through the process of cave building, cave architecture. So this is a unique and significant part enunciated, patronized by Mauryan Empire, and specifically the name of Ashoka should remember. When the tradition started by Ashoka, in the latter phase, as the history progressed, as the society progressed, as the developmental process took place, it was expanded to the different region of India. So the famous places, Ajanta, Ellora, Karli and Elephanta. This is what? The other region is what? This is Ajanta. Another one is Ellora. Another one is Karla, and sometimes it is also known as Karle Cave. And another one is Elephanta. So these are the four major architectural development in the field of cave architecture. And these are the very prominent part of our cultural heritage. And it has taken in a different way. It is presented in a different way. Another important thing that is to be very much important, the cave tradition in Western India. Western India regions, the proper tradition, proper structure, proper style came to the prominence. And the style designated with the name, designated with the ideas of what we can say that apsidal vault. Apsidal vault roof, this is one thing. Another thing is apsidal vault roof with pillarless. It is what? Pillarless. And the third style, flat roofs, it is quadrangular. So flat roofs with quadrangular. These are the three style of cave making evolved and developed during the time of Mauryan architecture. So these were the three styles. In styles we also find out In the latter part, the development of single-storied caves, then double-story cave, then triple-story caves. It also, you can say that, got proper shape. All these three patterns came to the prominence. In the latter part, I'll discuss in detail while discussing the topic of Ellora. One of the noticeable thing from examination point of view, because I would like to analyze whatever I discussed to you, whatever the thing I shared my views and idea regarding this one. The credit goes to Ashoka, because he had taken a special initiative to do such kind of activities, being a man of innovative ideas and vision. The significant part you should have to keep in your mind from examination point of view. The topic I'm discussing about the cave architecture of the Mauryan period, the base, the root, the theme behind that. Now the question arises, what was the motive behind developing a cave? What were the motive for making it, all these cave beautify? What were the reason that making all the cave single story, double story and triple story? Another important thing, what way it helped to make the society, to make the system, to make the cultural activities, and what way it helped to strengthening the empire, what way it satisfied the need of the society and people at all too. Because without the support system, without the contribution, without the acceptance among the people about this thing, it is not useful, it is not purposeful. So the basic thing you should have to keep in your mind, and the basic concept is what? The base is religious. The base and the basic motive, basic intention behind developing such kind of architectural activities in the form of architecture, the base is what? Religious base. Then the base is social base. Then the base is cultural base. This is the reason why these all the mindset, the thought process of a man, man's aptitude, man's thinking process, that leads to the construction, that leads to the directions of making, you can say, the system where settlements prevail, where stability of system prevails. So these religious ideas were the main basis regarding development of this cave architecture, because the main motive behind what? Religious and cultural. It was not, you can say, that constructed for the need of majority people, not at all too. It was the thought process, it was the thinking process of a person who patronized this system, who adopted this idea. And in the latter part of that too, these ideas were shared by the people for the benefit, for the, you can say that, achieving their social, cultural and religious objectivities. So this is the reason why these cave architecture came to prominence, and this cave architecture is a symbol of, is the identity of our religious and cultural bonding. It is the identity of what? Our religious and cultural bonding. And apart from that, it is also our tradition of our system. In this tradition, this cave architecture has paid a special, you can say that, contribution to our system and society. Before going through this, as I discuss about that too in detail, apsidal vault roof, then apsidal vault roof with pillarless hall and flat roof. This is supposed to, you can say that, discuss in a detailed way. Then it would be in the latter part easy to understand about. First thing I would like to make it clarify about that too. The Ajanta is the famous part of the cave architecture and development. In Ajanta, the different, almost 29 caves are available, and all the caves have certain distinguished and different characteristics. So, in this context, one very uniform thing prevails in Ajanta caves. What is that? The wall of the caves, the significant part of that too, the wall of the caves are very much, you can say that, polished. The wall of the caves are very well flattened, and the wall of the caves are shown in a very beautiful or bright way. That is the significant part of it. And most of the caves found in Nagarjun Hills and Barabar cave located near Bodh Gaya, we find such kind of activities in that. So the caves, normally what is that? The cave walls supposed to be, this is very much flattened, and this is very much, you can say that, polished. So these are a common tradition. From examination point of view, writing the mains answer, some uniform pattern, some fundamental basis you will have to retain while discussing and while expressing any topic from that. So what is that? The caves walls were, you can say, they polished, and it was flattened in a very clear-cut way. And this provided ample scope. This flattened wall, this flattened, what we can say that, roofs, that provided ample scope of developing certain form of big wall painting. That is, you can say that, fresco or secco painting too. So it was also useful from that point of view. Another important point of view, as when I'll go further and further during the later or late Mauryan period, apart from that cave architecture, the importance and significance of sculptures are equally found prominent, and it also registered a strong tradition to continue and develop this tradition of, you can say, architectural development. So let us start with, try to understand about what apsidal vault roof. What exactly is apsidal vault roof? Apsidal vault roof we find in the caves of Karli and other Chaitagriha. We find such kind of things too. Normally, what it used to happen in the entrance of Chaitagriha, what used to happen? So this is the section of inner wall, and in this inner wall, again, what is that? There are vaults. There are, what we can say that, vaults. These are associated to the roofs. These are the vaults. These are the vaults. These are the vaults. And these vaults are associated with roofs. And these vaults is what? It is like a pillar. It is what? It is like a pillar. It is like a pillar. It is like a pillar. And it shows up to this end. It shows up to this. This is the end section. This is what? This is the end section of the Chaitagriha, or what we can say that this is the end section of the caves. So these are the pillars. What is that? These are the pillars. And this is, you can say that this is based on the idea of what we can say that vault. So it is called apsidal vault roof. It is called apsidal vault roofs hall at Ajanta. So in one pattern, in pattern number 1, we find a big hall. We find a big hall. Apsidal vault, it is what? We find in a big hall. Or it is located in Pitalkhora at Ajanta. In this space, we find apsidal vault roof halls at Ajanta. The region is Pitalkhora at Ajanta. We find this kind of hall. Another hall we find at Nasaduri. Again, it is the region of Maharashtra. It is the region of what we can say that western side of India. We again find apsidal vault roof that is pillarless. That is what we can say that pillarless. So again we find, but this hall we find here, this hall is what? It is pillarless. So it is pillarless, without pillar. So this is again the second style or pattern tradition of cave architecture. So one is what? One is with vault pillars. Another one is what? We can say that pillarless. And the third tradition of, you can say, cave tradition in the Western India, we find the cave, the shape is what? We can say that quadrangular shape. The base is what? Quadrangular. And it has what? It has flattened roofs. It had what we can say that? Flattened roofs. It had what? Flattened roofs. And apart from that, the architectural images of different kind of what we can say that images shown on the walls of the different regions. So these three were the main idea. That is, first one is apsidal vault roof, another one is apsidal vault roof that is pillarless, and the third one is what? Third one is what? Flat roof on quadrangular pattern. And we also find the hall with circular chamber. This is the big hall, and it has a what we can say that? Chamber. Circular chamber. The chamber is what? It is circular. And the concept of this chamber evolved with the idea of Garbhagriha, womb, you can say that, place, stage, conditions. That is Garbhagriha. Inner deity normally used to kept in this connection. In the latter part, we will find in the temple construction. So it is what? Inner section, circular chamber with, you can say, the inner part of that too. And it has a wooden facade. So the other part, the section which is the other part of it, it is facade, and facade is what? The entrance part of that. What we can say that this is the entrance part. This is the entrance part of Chaitya. Entrance part of Chaitya. So it has shows with wooden facade. It also shows with wooden facade. Circular chamber of Chaitya, arches with wooden facade. It is also one of the important or significant part of what we can say that cave architecture. Another important significant feature you should have to keep in your mind for examination purpose. It is what? The motif. If we talk about the Chaitya, the Chaitya's entrance are dominated by, beautified by the architectural progress. What was that? The motif. The motif, objective, or you can say main theme. It is what? It is semicircular. It is semicircular. What does it mean? It is semicircular. What is that? This is the pattern. This is the pattern. If you talk about the entrance part of it too, it is what? It is semicircular. This is one part of it too. And it was Chaitya arches. If you talk about this one, if you talk about the Chaitya, if you talk about the Chaitya, this is what? This is the entrance. This is what? This is the entrance of Chaitya. This is what? This is the entrance of Chaitya. This is what? This is entrance of Chaitya. It is what? It is semicircular. So this was the entrance of Chaitya. This is the another important feature. The another important feature is what? Entrance of Chaitya is based on what is? Based on arches. This is the tradition. And again the wooden facade is another important thing. And at the back of, this is what? This is entrance. So this is the part of entrance. And there is a common tradition. The common tradition is what? In the back of this Chaitya, what is that? The tradition of a stup. On the back of this, the tradition of a stupa. So this was the common feature find during the development of cave architecture. Again I am repeating the things. The thing is what? Semicircular arches, Chaitya arches, wooden facade, and what we can say that in the back of, this is the entrance, or what we can say that front, or in the back, it is what Chaitya has been shown to. So this is the significant part of it. One of the important things that is noticeable, if you go through the history, if you go to the architectural development, there is variation in all the pattern of designing, in all the pattern of architectural development. Variations take place. Accordingly, there are reasons, and the reasons are the changes, the choice of the ruler, the choice of the people, and the development of different sects, or you can say that change of a bit, you can say cultural, religious pattern. So with that changing ideas, with that changing trend, this change also used to take place. So there is also variation. you find as the architectural progress takes place with the change of architectural development, with the change of ideas view, the structural pattern, the pattern of architecture also used to change. And we also notices here that it also used to change. For considering example is what? The considering example regarding this one is what? It is a regular feature. What is that? Quadrangular base and quadrangular base, then flat roofs, then flat roofs. These are the common feature and these are the common prominent thing you should have to keep in your mind. Common, it is what? It is quite common. It is what? Rectangular flattened roof. Flattened roof. It is a common feature we notice at these conditions. And overall, the development which has taken place during the beginning of the Mauryan period, it is quite significant from each and every aspect of development. And apart from that, to go through a proper study about this idea, proper studies about the significant aspect of this time, one more thing you should have to keep in your mind. And that is Ajanta caves. So now I am switching over to the cave architecture that is very significant from architectural point of view, from architectural development, and that is the development of Ajanta caves, Ajanta cave architecture. And that Ajanta cave architecture again contributed a very, very significant and effective part in our development of cultural heritage. So we talk about Ajanta. Ajanta. The number of caves we find in the region of Ajanta is 29. 29 caves are, you can say that, we find in Ajanta. Ajanta caves are important from different angle, from different point of view, and from different aspect of the life of, you can say that, architectural development and the development of the Mauryan art. Ajanta architecture, Ajanta cave painting, Ajanta motif, Ajanta themes, and the development which started, you can say, the time from 1st century, 2nd century AD, and it got prominence during the time of Gupta period and the Golden Age. As I discussed earlier on about the Mauryan architecture and Mauryan architectural development, in which I have already discussed about the pillar art, the caves art, and other part, and this section is about the palace. If you talk about Mauryan architecture, in this Mauryan architecture, one of the important part of it that is a very remarkable thing. The Mauryan architecture evolved, developed and progressed, keeping certain ideology, or specifically during the time of Ashoka. There was certain fixed ideological progress in the field of architecture, and that reflects with the ideas of Ashoka's exposition. So let's start with the palace. If we talk about the palaces and the big, huge mammoth building that created at that time, incidentally, or what we can say that it is unforeseen, unfortunate conditions that the monumental archaeological sites, it is completely almost perished. But the foreign sources, especially the Fahian's ideas incorporated in this regard, the foreign traveler, he expressed about the details about the palaces available, erected in the region of Patliputra. So Patliputra, it is nowadays this is located at Bihar, and this is the capital, it is known as Patna. So Patliputra was so many names with, you can say, its prominence. It was also known as Patligram. Again, during the time of Gupta period, it was also identified and recognized by the name of Purushpur or Pushpapur. So this was a very important place at that time. And this place is also recognized as a famous place. It is also called Jal Durg. And the reason behind that, this is the location, and this region was developed, identified during the time of the Hurrian dynasty ruler, Haryak Vansh ruler. If we talk about them too, what is that? Udyan and Ajatasattu. These two names are corroborated with that, because at that time it was the capital city, and this was located with a very prominent place and idea. It was also known as Jal Durg. Jal Durg. Why it was Jal Durg? Because from three sides, this city was, this town was, this plain was covered with, or what we can say that protected with rivers. The river Ganga, the river Yamuna, the river Son. This was protected by these regions. And another region was, what we can say that, the regions of Rajgri, the hill regions. So that is why it was Jal Durg. So the Rajgri section is another part, but really it was protected from three sides, from the river sides. That is why it was called Jal Durg. So most of the architectural development in the field of what we can say that palaces, in the field of, you can say, the palaces, it is now perished. And the most important building we find in this region was, what was that? It was multi-pillared hall. Of multi-pillared hall, so the number of halls, the number of, what we can say that, the number of pillars, not exactly the halls, the number of pillars. The number of pillars were 100 pillared hall is famous architectural development of during this period. One thing that is very much noticeable in this counterpart, what was that? The architecture evolved and the architecture developed during this period was, it was a beautiful style evolved and developed for making what we can say that pillar building. In the early classes, I have already discussed about the style of the development of pillars. It was very well polished, it was very well developed, and beautiful carving work was also prevailed. prevailed in this period. What is that? In this period. So this multi-pillared hall was one of the unique feature of what we can say this Mauryan period. And this 100-pillar hall was very much symbolic. It is now perished. It is beautifully developed. It is beautifully polished. It is beautifully developed. And it exposed in a very well situation, an established situation, during which the Mauryan Empire developed their own ideas, own, you can say that, system of monument building. And the remains which is available nowadays, it shows that the carving work, the polished work was beautifully designed. That is one of the significant part of Mauryan architecture. A great historical evidence, we find that Ashoka was also a builder. Ashoka was also a builder. Why? It is because Ashoka established the city of Srinagar. It is, you can say that part and parcel of Jammu and Kashmir. He founded the city Srinagar. This is one of the remarkable things. This city was established by Ashoka. And another important city, which is now not in India, it is in Nepal, and it is known as Lalitpattan. This city is known by the name of what? Lalitpattan. It is in nowadays Nepal. If you talk about Nepal, there are significant evidence we find in the region of Nepal, that many more architectural progress, architectural development and architectural evidences we find, which reflects the impact of influence of Mauryan architecture during this age and period in this region. Another important part of this Mauryan architecture, we notice that during the Mauryan architecture, the significant part which evolved and developed during this period was that the development of image building, the development of what we can say that sculptural development. Sculpture development was also important part of it, because all the matter, all the scenario which were expressed in a form of write-ups, in a form of message, in a form of what we can say that ideas, these were expressed with the approach and ideas of what we can say that pictorial process. It is what? Pictorial process. And during this pictorial process, the images were drawn, the images were developed, and these images used to provide the messages. And normally in the images, we notice that the contemporary situations and conditions which were prevailing in the empire, the social religious life, the social cultural life has been exposed very well, has been expressed very well in this period. And it was very well depicted on the walls. In the first time, it has been exposed, developed, as I discussed you too, during the time of cave architecture and development. It was exposed on the walls of the caves, the first part of it. The second thing what we notice is, during the time of Ashoka itself, Ashoka formulated the idea of giving the messages, writing on the pillars and rock edicts kind of things too. Apart from that, in the part of palaces, normally the base used to prepared, the base happens to be a square base. It was the basic, you can say, concept of architectural and monumental building. And they created a very strong platform keeping a square in shape. Without the platform, the development of architectural progress didn't take place. So the basic fundamental thing from examination point of view, you have to keep in your mind what are the basics idea of erecting, designing, developing the building, especially the big hall, or you can say big monuments or palaces. The base was structured, designed and developed. It happens to be a square base. The second part of it, a big platform. The layout of a platform has been designed for keeping it above the height of, you can say, the normal ground condition. This is the second thing. The third part we notices during the architectural building, the multi-pillared hall, or you can say that 100-pillared hall developed during the Ashoka period. Apart from a stone, the addition of wood may have incorporated, as we find the resources, the major sources material available during the development of Ashoka's architecture, we find here. Again, in palaces, the palace building monument normally developed and designed keeping the views of ideas of ruler. Apart from that too, so it was personalized. One of the remembering thing, one of the part that should keep in our mind, what is that? Ashoka has kept it in the mind that the construction of palaces were individualistic. This is one part of it. Another significant part we find in the sources of history, that the cultural development, the architectural development, the pictorial development, and some part of other architectural part, it was completely individualistic. So that is one of the important base. That is one of the important theme you have to keep in your mind, that Mauryan court art, alone and aloof. Alone and aloof means it is isolated. It didn't mix up with the other counterpart of it, because Ashoka embraced Buddhism, and the subject of matter related to Buddhism, it was restricted, and it was executed according to the mindset of Ashoka itself. So that is why it is individualistic, it is alone and aloof, because the court art evolved and developed according to the mindset of the ruler. And most of the time, or you will find during the progress of my lecture, that the term court art is specifically keeping the things in the mind of the mindset of the ruler. Whatever the thought process, whatever the ideas evolved in the mind of the rulers, it may be religious, it may be socio-political, it may be cultural. It depends upon the mindset, and normally it influences, as I said, as I repeated many times, all the architectural development has a very strong religious base. Without the strong religious base, there is no scope of development of different kind of cultural activities and exposition. So we also find in this Ashokan, you can say, art. But so far, development of palace are concerned, it is very much restricted. The sources are very much restricted. The sources are very much limited because we don't find ample, you can say that, architecture, monument structure. Most of the structural part is perished. It is not like that we can express most of the things from that part of that too. But the element we find, we can corroborate, we can do the collectivities regarding that. So on the walls of the palaces, on the walls of the buildings, on the walls of the architecture, a very strong message conveyed to the people, conveyed to the, you can say that, people of that region, conveyed among the masses, as we notices in the later Mauryan architecture, and we find in the architecture progress of what we can say Amravati, Nilgiri regions and Rajgriha regions. And most of the time the pictorial thing has kept the major themes, major part of the themes. It is concerned with religious ideas, cultural ideas, and it is most of the time dominating by Jatak, the birth story of Mahatma Buddha. And the medallions of the building, if you talk about the message conveyed to the people, the message conveyed to the, you can say that, larger society, is what it is normally conveyed through the medallions of the walls. So in these medallions, different pictures, different images and different type of what we can say that themes used to displayed, and through this process it conveyed to the people, conveyed the messages to the people. This was another significant part of what we can say that the Ashokan or the Mauryan palace building. Another important part, what we can say that in the process of what we can say the building and architectural development. So in the different section there might be, you can say that, important part of that. We see that in the region of Amravati, in the region of Elephanta, in the region of Nilgiri, in the region of Rajgriha. These all are the places that all these places evolved, developed with the ideas and influence of that cultural activity which prevailed during the Mauryan period. In all these places, the structure, monument, we find here it is grown and developed under the Mauryan influences, and in the latter part, what we can say that in the latter Mauryan period, it was symbolic, and many more messages were given in the form of pictorial process, in the field, in the matter of what we can say that picture depicted in the form of messages. So this is again important part of it. Another significant part we notice developed during this period was what? It is what? Dharma Chakra. So the symbol, we all the time find this Dharma Chakra in Mauryan architecture. This is again a significant part of it, and it is completely influenced with the ideas which Ashoka embraced, Buddhism, and in the latter part that became the part of system and policy. This has also been depicted in the various regions of the Mauryan art. So in this connection, if you talk about another part of that, that is what Ashoka's architectural progress, most of the time, and single-handedly one important line you should remember from conceptual point of view, what is that? It is individualistic in essential character and ideology. And this essential character and ideologies were very well exposed in the monumental building of Ashoka. And this is the important part that is very much significant from Mauryan architectural development. If we consider for the development of palace, because we don't find much of the remains to make a detail and elaboration about Ashoka's palaces, we can restrict and we can express the idea of palace development under the limited resources, in which we can say that it was individualistic. Another thing, the monuments were very huge. Third thing, the monument shows it was very well exposed. Another thing, all the architectural development of clarity and specification has been exposed very well, as it has been showed here that in a form of 100-pillared hall. If you talk about 100-pillared hall, it means it is massive. And it may be the place of gathering to the innumerable people in that regions too. Another important part is what? It is completely individualistic. Another significant part is that it was very well carved out, it was very well polished, and it has a complete ideas of indigenous character in this part. And this is what we can say that this way the Mauryan architecture contributed by and large for the development of other culture, other architectural development, other part of what we can say that pictorial or the picture, and what we can say that icon, a sculptural development has also taken place. But the contribution of Maurya, it play a very extensive role. It play a very, you can say that, wide and extended role of developing art, architecture, culture and painting in other part of that too. So, reviewing the whole scenario, summing up the whole scenario of the Mauryan architecture, the noticeable point, it should be overview with that too. The Mauryan art it was completely indigenous. It was mammoth, that is another part of that too. The Mauryan art were individualistic art. It has a very strong religious base. It has a very strong ideological base. This art evolved and developed during Chandragupta Maurya, during Ashoka itself too. And it has a composite influence of what? Buddhist and Jain religious ideas. And this is why this Mauryan architecture has played a very significant role of building our cultural heritage too. And still India continued with that too. And after this, my another lecture will be, that may be more extensive, because the late Mauryan or post-Mauryan architectural development that play a very significant role of developing cave architecture, of developing cave painting, of developing icon of developing a sculpture in the caves. So it will be more interesting in the latter part, because we find lot of references, we find lot of sources, and we also find lot of archaeological evidences. Okay? And thank you. Fine. Nice.